On today's show, the Houston Rockets outpaced the Pacers with a second-half offensive surge. Alperen Sengun makes history again. Jabari Smith Jr. finding a groove offensively. Tari Eason with 6 steals. We're going to break it all down for you coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, man, the Houston Rockets hot start just keeps on going, moving to 11-5 after getting the win against the Pacers. What is up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Thursdays. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets, where the absolute best way that you can help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop us a comment while you're there. Tell me your favorite thing about this Rockets win against the Pacers. Do a drive-by. Just say Go Rockets. It helps us out a ton. Also, be sure to subscribe to the new daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. Now, today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you so much for being one of our amazing everydayers. A lot to get to in this episode as the Rockets get the 130-113 win against the Indiana Pacers. But first and foremost, something that we are going to start doing here at Locked On Rockets. When the Rockets get a win, it's time that we
release the Hounds.
I want to release the Hounds, which means I want you listening to this episode, podcast, YouTube, whatever, go find Locked On Pacers YouTube channel, go into their reaction video, and tell them that we sent the Hounds, capital Hounds. We're releasing the Hounds. That's what we're going to start doing after every Rockets win this season. So go tell my buddy Tony East over at Locked On Pacers. Go playfully, talk some smack over there. All right, Rockets getting this big win against. And first, look, this game sucked. This game sucked through 2 quarters. It was a total ref show. It felt disjointed. It was an ugly, they took the air out of the building. It sucked. The Rockets were in foul trouble early. First, Alperen Sengun with 2 quick fouls. Then Dillon Brooks followed suit with 2 quick fouls. Thompson had 3 fouls at the top of the second quarter. Tari Eason was in foul trouble. This was a really rough all-around game, and that led to some of what we saw in that second quarter where Pascal Siakam just absolutely started taking over. He had 19 first half points. Pascal Siakam had 16 points in the second quarter alone. And a big contributing factor to that was the Rockets having to play kind of on their heels a little bit. They were being a little bit less aggressive defensively than we normally see them because so many guys were playing in foul trouble, right? And they were worried about, okay, are we going to foul him? Are we not going to foul him? He was getting some easy buckets right at the rim. They also sent him to the line more times than they probably should have early in the game. Thankfully, Rockets were able to make their adjustments, and over the course of the rest of the game, they held Siakam to just 2 more points. So he had 19 in the first half. Rockets made their adjustments. In the second half, the whistle loosened up a little bit. Guys who were in foul trouble were not in foul trouble in the second half and able to play a little bit more aggressively on Siakam, and they held him to just 2 field goal attempts for the rest of the game, and only 1 made basket the rest of the way. So some really impressive defensive performances on Siakam in the second half of this game. But I want to talk about Alperen Sengun here, who absolutely put this Rockets team on his back offensively to close out this game. We're going to talk about some of the other performances in this game. I thought Jabari Smith Jr. did a fantastic job through the first 3 quarters, really helping to elevate the Rockets offense, being a steady contributing piece of the Rockets offense through those first 3 quarters. But Alperen Sengun was the guy that got the Rockets over the hump and to the finish line. And what I mean is the Rockets had a comfortable lead in the fourth quarter. They had, in fact, it was a 21-point lead at the top of the fourth quarter, but the lineup that was in at the top of the fourth quarter had some really bad energy. Like, they just didn't have the juice to keep carrying that momentum that the Rockets had built through the third quarter and going into the fourth quarter. That lineup was Reed Shepard, Jalen Green, Amin Thompson, Tari Eason, Jock Landale. They let the Pacers go on like a 6-0 run at the top of the fourth quarter. Ime Udoka was pissed. He called timeout. The score was 100-85. And then from that point on, Ime called timeout. He checked Alperen Sengun back into the game, and then Alp straight up dominated down the stretch. He had 12 points to close out this game on his way to his season high 31 points on 12 of 19 shooting. He was 6 of 8 from the foul line. He hit a 3. He had 12 rebounds, 4 of them on the offensive glass, 2 assists, a steal, and was +4, just a +4 in his 28 minutes. But it was really cool to see to see Ime go back to Alp late in the fourth quarter and realize, okay, hey, the Pacers are on a run. The lineup that I have out there isn't getting it done offensively. How do I fix this? Throw Alp back out there and basically just let Alp go to work. We've seen him be able to do that a few times this season in the fourth quarter, but there have also been times where we've seen the Rockets offense really sputtering in the fourth quarter because they're going to too much Jalen Green down the stretch, or too much Fred VanVleet down the stretch, or they're playing too much, I guess, kind of team-centric, everybody eats kind of offense, and they're not going to, clearly, their best player. And this was one of those moments where it felt like a great sign to see Ime basically say, okay, we're struggling. I'm not taking any chances. Alp, get back out there and go dominate the game for us. And that's exactly what he did. He closed out the game in a big way. Rockets were able to coast to the finish line from that point on. I mean, it was basically the Alperen Sengun show to kind of close out this game, although there were some, throughout the rest of the fourth quarter, other guys, stepped up, hit some shots, and then it basically became, I don't know, 5 minutes left in the game, 5 or 6 minutes left was when the Pacers waved the white flag, and then the Rockets were able to check in all of their garbage time players, all their third stringers, whatever. And a cool little note here. Not only was it great to see Ime's kind of confidence and trust in Alperen Sengun to plug his best player back in and get them to the finish line, in this game, but he also let Alp stay in the game to stat pad a little bit, which, shout out to Ime being a total players coach. It might have just been because Alp's minutes, he wasn't quite where he normally was at minutes wise. A lot of the starters played under their regular minutes load in this game, in particular due to the foul trouble and stuff. Like Dillon Brooks only played 22 minutes. Jalen Green played 28 minutes because he was playing under the weather and sick. But Alp finished with that 31-point night, and Alp makes Houston Rockets history again, as he is now the 5th Houston Rockets center with double-digit 30-point games. A list that includes Elvin Hayes, Moses Malone, the GOAT Hakeem Olajuwon, and Yao Ming. Alp is now the 5th Rockets center in history to have double-digit, so 10 or more, 30-point performances. That is an elite list and an all-time great list of big men to be a part of, and just a small taste of what is to continue coming with Alperen Sengun. Coming up, want to talk about the rest of the game flow. Got to get into Jabari Smith Jr. finding his groove offensively, his impact in this game. Tari Eason, 2nd in the league in steals. Off the bench, he had 6 of them in this game. We're going to talk about that and so much more coming up here in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Look, we got the Emirates NBA Cup in-season tournament games coming up. With the Rockets still have 3 more of them. There's one this Friday against the Blazers. If you're looking for tickets to go to that game, check it out on the GameTime app. But that's not the only thing they have, right? They don't just have sporting events. They've got concerts, they've got theater events, every kind of event you can imagine. And look, GameTime filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different ticketing offers. They've got so many great features as well. Their ticket coverage, their lowest price guarantee, views from your seat, so you know exactly what to expect when you get to your venue. My personal favorite is their all-in pricing feature. When you download the GameTime app, you toggle on their all-in pricing feature. They are fully transparent from start to finish, so they don't hit you with any hidden fees or surprise fees throughout the ticket buying process. So take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, kind of talked about how choppy that first half was, and then thankfully the Rockets, again, they were able to, the referees kind of loosen up, the game a little bit, let the Rockets play with a little bit more of their physicality there in the second half. But that third quarter was where the Rockets just completely blew this game wide open. Alp was a big part of that third quarter. He had 9 of his 31 there before ultimately taking over with his 12 points in the fourth quarter, that final frame. Again, 21 second half points for Alperen Sengun. He was just straight up dominant in the second half of this game. But the two other big-time contributors in that third quarter, and the second biggest contributor overall for the game, Fred VanVleet was big in the third quarter. He had 11 points on 4 of 5 shooting, had a couple assists, had a steal in there. He woke up big time in that third frame. And then Jabari Smith Jr., who did a lot of the heavy lifting for the Rockets early in this game when it felt like the offense was really disjointed, when it felt like the Rockets were really struggling to get into a rhythm. Jabari finished the night with 23 points on 8 of 13 shooting. Jabari had 23 through 3 quarters. Didn't play in the final quarter. Didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. And so if this was a regular game where the Rockets needed to go back to Jabari, needed to go back to their starters and not run, the garbage time unit at all, then Jabari would have finished with around probably 35, 36 minutes played. And the way that he was cooking the Pacers, the way that he was knocking down shots in this game, this could have been another, a 30-point performance or something close to that for Jabari Smith Jr. in this game. Loved what we saw out of him. And it really does feel like he's kind of broken the seal there a little bit and gotten back to how he needs to play to be that swing factor for this Rockets team. Jabari's never going to be the guy that's getting, I don't want to say never, because clearly Ime has done, some plays here and there where he draws up specific actions for Jabari Smith Jr. to try and get him going, to try to get him a shot or two. So I don't want to say he's never going to be the guy, getting plays drawn up for him. But at the same time, a majority of his offense comes from his ability to just knock down the shots that he gets within the flow of the offense. And it very much felt like Jabari was taking advantage of all of those opportunities within the flow of the offense in this game. It wasn't just him spotting up for shots beyond the 3-point line. He did go 3 of 5 from beyond the arc in this one, but he also hit 5 shots inside the arc, right? He hit some shots around the paint. He had a driving layup. He got some offensive putbacks. He got to the free throw line, hit 4 of 4 there. He had a really all-around great game in this one. And it really does feel like the Rockets at times are a team that, there's certain individual players that can get themselves going offensively by really locking in on the defensive end. And that very much felt like the case in this game, in particular with, Alp and Dillon Brooks kind of being forced to go to the bench early with foul trouble, right? Jabari was leaned on pretty heavily in the first half as both a defender on that side of the court, but also, having his shot attempts kind of, uptick with no Alp on the floor for an extended period of time in the first quarter, with no Dillon Brooks out there, who usually takes a good volume of shots, although Dillon still found a way to take a good volume of shot. Dillon was 1 for 10 in this game, man. This was not a good Dillon Brooks performance, but he's been one of the most consistent pieces of this team so far this season, so we're not going to give him too much hell for that. But really, really rough night at the office for Dillon Brooks. 1 of 10 shooting, 0 of 7 overall. Really just kind of all out of rhythm after that early, the early couple fouls. He had to, spend some time sitting over there on the bench, kind of got iced out of the game, and just never found a rhythm after that. But the Rockets as a team, they were getting it done on the defensive side of the court. That's what they do every single night. They forced 23 total turnovers from the Pacers, 16 of which were steals. Those are live ball turnovers that led to 23 fast break points. The Rockets ultimately scored 30 points off of those 23 turnovers by the Pacers. And then again, they also crushed Indiana on the offensive glass, which is something they've been doing to teams every single night that they ultimately play. I want to say what was the offensive rebound or the second chance point disparity, 16-4. Rockets were plus 12 in the second chance point department. They were plus 9 plus 11 in the fast break department. So again, the Rockets very much outpacing the Pacers in this game, just really getting it done on both ends, again, after a very choppy start to this game. And credit to Fred VanVleet as well, who locked in there in the third quarter, was able to kind of rally the troops, knock down some tough shots. And whenever Fred has his offense going, whenever he's a little bit more aggressive, either to start a game or when he turns it on there, especially in the third quarter, it really helps kind of settle things out for this Rockets team. And this was a night where the Rockets really did need that performance from Fred VanVleet, because Jalen was kind of struggling in this game. Jalen was playing sick, so he was questionable to play with an illness, like right before this game started. He was kind of a game time decision. He ultimately did wind up playing. And Jalen still put up 14 points on 5 of 13 shooting. He was only 1 of 6 from downtown, 3 of 5 at the free throw line. He had 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Did have a few turnovers in there. Wasn't the best of games from Jalen Green, but understanding the circumstances that he was playing through, an illness, and was still able to make an impact on this game. Still got downhill at various points, even though the 3 ball wasn't falling. He still very much got downhill against a good Pacers team, against a good shot blocker in Miles Turner, finished around the cup a few times. And so, the buckets that Jalen got, over the course of this game were still important, even though the efficiency wasn't super great in this one. Want to talk about Tari Eason, though, off the bench, man. His impact continues to be so valuable. 11 points on 4 of 8 shooting. He went 2 of 2 from downtown. He had 9 rebounds, had an assist, and this is the ridiculous one. He had 6 steals. 6 different steals. Of the Rockets' 16 steals, Tari accounted for about a third of them. Actually, more than, I don't know, somebody do the math on that, right? Like, 5 is 1/3 of 15, so 6 is like, it's a little bit more than 1/3 of 16, right? Like I suck at math. So, but that's just ridiculous. And he's doing it off the bench, which means now Tari Eason is second in the NBA in steals per game. He's only trailing Dyson Daniels right now, who's been an absolute monster when it comes to playing the passing lanes and stealing the ball this season. Dyson Daniels averaging 3.1 steals per contest, but Tari Eason is right there, tied for number 2 with Jalen Williams from OKC at 2.2 steals per game. But here's the rub. You look around the list of the top 5 guys in steals per game. Dyson Daniels playing 33.7 minutes per game. Jalen Williams, 32.6 minutes per game. Jordan Poole, who is, where is he at on steals? 1.9 steals per game. He's playing 29.9 minutes per game. And then Fred VanVleet's actually top 5 as well. Fred is averaging 1.9 steals per contest as well, but Fred's doing it in 34.7 minutes. Tari is the only one who's doing it in 23.1 minutes. He's doing it in 6.5 less minutes than the guy who's 4th on the list in Jordan Poole, and he's right there neck and neck with Jalen Williams, who's averaging almost 9 more minutes per game than Tari. And Jalen Williams is starting. That's the other thing. Dyson is starting, Jalen is starting, Jordan Poole is starting, Fred VanVleet is starting. The next closest guy on the list is Alex Caruso, who isn't starting. And he's coming off the bench for OKC. He's got 1.8 steals per game. But my goodness, everybody else up and down this list, these are all starting caliber players who are top 10 in steals per game. And Tari is right there amongst the rest of them. He's just been so utterly dominant. And again, those live ball steals or those live ball turnovers that are generated by playing the passing lanes, by getting those steals and getting out and running in transition, that allows the Rockets to really ignite their offense. Guys get in the flow of it. They're sharing the basketball in transition. They're making good decisions. A lot of good comes from when the Rockets are able to get out and run against opposing teams. Again, their defense is what oftentimes ignites their offense. And we saw that again in this game when the Rockets defense was able to really clamp down in that third quarter, start forcing some turnovers. They were able to get out and run. Guys were able to take advantage, and they were able to just kind of run away with it and build that big lead that they took into the fourth and final quarter. Coming up, want to get to final thoughts from this game. Got to highlight some of the other bench performers in this one. Not the best game for Amen Thompson, and also got to talk about the rookie Reed Shepard, as well as a couple other little notes from this one. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Chime. Look, we've all hit a point where we realized it was time to make serious money moves. Take control of your finances by using Chime checking account with features like no maintenance fees, fee-free overdraft up to $200, or getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit, where you can learn more at chime.com/MBA. Join millions of Chime members who are working on financial progress. Chime helps you make progress with fee-free overdraft. You can get spotted on debit card purchases and cash withdrawals, no monthly fees or maintenance fees, and over 50,000 fee-free ATMs. To date, Chime has spotted members over 30 billions. Friends give friends a boost. How it works, you set up direct deposit in your Chime account. After a qualifying direct deposit of $200 plus, Chime will notify you to enroll in Spot Me. With an activated debit card, Chime will spot you up to $200 when you exceed your balance, and your next direct deposit is applied directly to your negative balance. So make your fall finances a little bit greener by working towards your financial goals with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/MBA. That's chime.com/MBA. Chime feels like progress. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. I want to get to some of the production on the Rockets bench side of things here really quickly and final thoughts from this one. But just on the Pacers side really quick, what the hell is wrong with Tyrese Haliburton, man? The dude has completely fallen off a cliff. And I hear like some Pacers fans talking about, oh, it's still, he's hurt, he's not right, it's, the hamstring's not there yet, or he's dealing with some back injury, until we have like verified, like credible, like, yes, the Pacers disclose an injury or that Tyrese Haliburton is playing through something, which nothing official has come out yet, right? He's healthy every night on the scouting report, whatever. I just don't know. Like, this might just be a world-class level of regression for Haliburton. The dude had 4 points, which surprisingly wasn't even his season low. His season low was 0. He was held to 0 points against the New York Knicks earlier this season. But 4 points, 1 of 7 shooting, only 8 assists, which, that's still incredibly low given, the expectations for Tyrese Haliburton and how he's played previously for this Pacers team. Just an all-around awful performance. His shooting splits, like road versus home, are just abhorrently bad. He's shooting, like, his true shooting percentage is like 42% on the road, and it's like 60% at home. I don't remember the last time I saw like a home versus road splits that was this painfully brutal. And even his home splits are not where his like production level was last season. But I mean, dude, the Pacers are absolutely cooked if this is like how Tyrese Haliburton is going to look moving forward. And look, the Rockets are a great defensive team, but my God, they're not that good to hold Tyrese Haliburton to just 4 points on 1 of 7 shooting. This is just like a star player who's just in a total funk, not looking like himself, not even aggressive, not hunting his shot, just kind of a ridiculous performance from him. And look, I like Hallie a lot. I think he's a great player. This is an all-NBA caliber guy. I don't know what's up with him. But the Rockets did do a phenomenal job really guarding the Pacers. The Pacers did shoot 53% from the floor, but only 22.7% from downtown. They have been struggling to shoot the ball this season after being one of the NBA's best offenses last year. They haven't quite lived up to the expectations that they, probably have set for themselves as a team this year. Really disappointing offensive performance from them. And again, you got to give a lot of credit to the Rockets defense, knowing the scouting report, running guys off the 3-point line, letting very specific guys take shots, right? KYP, know your personnel. Shout out to Quentin Jackson, who got, I believe, what was his first NBA career start, if I'm not mistaken. He had 24 points on 10 of 12 shooting. He was part of the reason that Alperen Sengun got in that early foul trouble, because Alp was stuck guarding Quentin Jackson in space, and Jackson did a fantastic job attacking Alp, right? Getting, attacking in space, getting him kind of to bite on a fake, going to the rim and finishing through contact. And, usually the Rockets are able to get away with Alperen Sengun guarding a perimeter player and being, outside of all the ball actions and ball screens. And that's something that's allowed Alp to be a much better rim deterrent this season. Ime actually spoke about it post-game, how a lot of the advanced metrics show that Alperen Sengun is one of the best rim defenders in the NBA, the third best, in fact, behind it's Victor Wembanyama first, Chet Holmgren second, and then Alperen Sengun right there in third place as the best big man defending shots within 6 feet of the rim, holding opponents to, I believe it's like 50-something% shooting around the rim, which is, it's like a 6 or 7 percentage point increase from what he was defending at the rim last season. And Ime talked about it post-game and basically, highlighted, because we're playing him off ball quite a bit more and he's not involved in so many of those on-ball actions. He's not having to recover. He's not having to show. He's not having to tag the roller or I apologize, not tag the roller, stunt or show towards the ball handler and then try to get back to defend the roll man at the same time. So his ability to be kind of that weak side, rim deterrent or that weak side defender, that help presence rotating over and stopping guys at the rim has helped out a ton. And I do think it's probably also helping to conserve some of Alp's energy overall. So a great kind of schematic adjustment from Ime Udoka that we've seen deployed a lot this season. I mean, Alperen Sengun is guarding more perimeter players this season than he is guarding bigs this season, but he still has the ability, right, in a switch or, on a per possession basis as needed, he can still switch onto a big and hold his own and play, a traditional defensive scheme, if you will, rather than him being out on the perimeter guarding either the opposing team's weakest shooter or what have you. So love the adjustment there from Ime Udoka to really put Alperen Sengun in a great position to be successful defensively. And dude, this is a far cry from Steven Silas, who again did no favors to Alperen Sengun, basically playing him in drop coverage for his first 2 seasons in the NBA, and Alp just getting absolutely cooked constantly in drop coverage because he's not a drop big. That's not his strength. That's not how he can be effective defensively. And here you are with a great defensive-minded head coach who figured out how to get the best out of Alperen Sengun's talents on that side of the floor. And look, it's working. And the Rockets are an incredible defensive team because of it. So, well, not exclusively because of it, but Alp's improvement on the defensive side has definitely helped elevate this team defensively for sure this season. Want to talk about a couple of the other guys here off the Rockets bench. Amin Thompson, the other half of the Terror Twins, not his best night. Again, Amin was struggling with foul trouble in this game. He only finished with 6 points, 2 of 4 shooting. He had 4 turnovers. Just a sloppy game from Amin Thompson. He had like some unforced turnovers that weren't even like, he had the one where he tried to go behind the back, like, or a spin on one of his drives where he just like lost the ball out of bounds. Just kind of an off night for Amin Thompson. Not the end of the world. He was still defending when he could, when he wasn't in foul trouble, but, only 17 minutes for him. Just kind of a rough night. And then elsewhere for the Rockets, I want to give credit to Jock Landale, part of the Stay Ready crew, who, when Ime was asked about playing Jock Landale in this game instead of Steven Adams, Ime did say that it was matchup dependent, and that's why Jock Landale played. So Steven Adams was available and could have played this game. He opted to go with Jock Landale. And Jock did a great job stepping in for Alperen Sengun there in the first quarter, making the most of those minutes. The minutes there later in the game, top of the fourth quarter with that lineup that kind of was letting go of the rope a little bit and letting the lead slip. That wasn't necessarily just Jock Landale's fault. Something was just funky with that lineup out there. They just couldn't generate any offense and they weren't getting the stops that they needed. And credit to Ime for plugging LP back in to stop the bleeding. But Jock was solid in his minutes, +9 in just 13 minutes off the bench. He had 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Just a solid overall performance from Jock Landale. And again, at this point, with how bad Steven Adams has unfortunately looked, those backup minutes should go to either Jock Landale or Jabari Smith Jr. small ball 5 minutes at this point until Steven Adams is fully healthy and ready to try and contribute at a higher level, because it's just not working right now with Adams. And last guy here, Shepard, who he did finish with 7 points, 3 of 5 shooting. He knocked down a 3. He had a few assists in there. He had a couple steals. But this was a rough night for Shepard, and this is a little bit of one of the concerns that you have with him defensively. He was a -9 in his 17 minutes played. And this was like, if I actually go back and crunch the numbers before garbage time, I'm curious to see how he looked pre-garbage time in this game, because there was a point where like the Pacers offensively, they just kept targeting Reed over and over and over. I mean, they were not messing around. They wanted to try and expose him defensively, I guess, and it kind of worked. I mean, where's Reed Shepard's plus minus at this point? Let me see. Reed Shepard, yeah, okay. He was a -5 before the garbage time started. So not the best, not the absolute worst, but there were a bunch of possessions in a row where Indiana kept just going right at Reed Shepard defensively. He was struggling to contain TJ McConnell, who kept getting to the rim. It was not the best defensive performance from him. Even though Reed is a fantastic team defender, he understands schematics, he understands where to be, how to rotate, how to recover at times. This was just a matchup where it felt like Reed was really struggling on the defensive side. And so much so that Ime Udoka actually opted to go back to one of the other members of the Stay Ready crew, played Aaron Holiday some minutes in this game. And now some of that might have been to offset Reed Shepard and his struggles defensively. Some of it might have also been to kind of spell Jalen Green a little bit, since Jalen was clearly playing through something. He's playing through some kind of an illness this game. So it's unclear whether Aaron Holiday's minutes were more so because of Reed's defense or because Jalen just kind of playing under the weather. But either way, Aaron Holiday stepping in, making a small impact, right? He had 1 bucket, he had a few rebounds, but just going out there, playing solid veteran defense. It's great to be able to have those depth pieces to go to late in a game and say, hey, we need just like a solid 5-minute stretch because one of our regular guys doesn't have it, or they're targeting somebody defensively, and being able to plug and play Aaron Holiday, who, again, part of the Stay Ready crew. It's such a benefit for this team to have multiple guys like that deep on the bench. They haven't had to, knock on wood, they haven't had to tap into their third string reserves yet this season, because for the most part, the Rockets have had a really, really healthy season, in a season that has been marred by injuries across the board in the NBA landscape. So hopefully the Rockets continue to be healthy, but if they don't, if at any point guys need to miss some time or injuries start to happen, whatever, the Rockets do have depth pieces that they ultimately can rely on. And this is all without even, Cam Whitmore not even getting any run, although we did get a slam Whitmore moment in garbage time. We almost got a couple of them. He got blocked on one of them, I believe. But easily one of the best moments from the game. Where is it? I have it here. I want to make sure I don't miss highlighting this. One of the best moments from the game was in garbage time. Jeff Green gets a steal. He's out there playing on the perimeter. He gets a wide open dunk in transition off this steal, and the camera immediately pans back to the Rockets bench, and Amin Thompson is just back there, just giving Jeff, old Uncle Jeff, the thumbs down on his dunk. And even post game, when Vanessa Richardson asked Alperen Sengun about it on his walk-off interview, he was just like, yeah, we know Jeff can do better than that. He's dunking all the time in practice, and it was just a fun kind of, little cherry on top moment to wrap up this game. But it was great for the Rockets to be able to get their starters some rest in this one. They've got a pair of back-to-back games coming up against the Portland Trailblazers, the first of which is the Rockets' second taste of NBA Cup action. So Friday night, it'll be another Cup game for the Houston Rockets. This is a kind of a must-win game because the next 2 games are going to be against the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Sacramento Kings, both on the road. But if you win this first Cup game against the Blazers, or whatever, this next one against the Blazers, you go up 2-0. And if you can run up the score even further on the point differential, you're in a really, really great spot. And then basically at that point, you kind of only have to win one of the last 2 games, and you're almost guaranteed to be the team that advances out of West Group A. So the Rockets are in a really good spot to be able to advance into the knockout round of the in-season tournament. So that's some really exciting stuff there. But I want to know your thoughts from this game. Give me your feelings. Tell me your favorite moments from this one. Drop it all in the YouTube comments. Remember, gotta
release the Hounds.
Go swing by Locked On Pacers YouTube channel. Tell them that Locked On Rockets sent you. But as always, thanks so much for checking out the show. The best way you can help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop a comment while you're there. Subscribe to the daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.